It's 11:59 at Gun Owners Radio, and this is the Penn Patriot, music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I've got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, and another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind American lines, this is your song.
So something we've been talking about, and this past week we had a big celebration of, is San Diego County gun owners had their 10-year anniversary. They've been around for 10 years, so they had their 10th birthday celebration, which went really, really well. I thought it was, good. It was fun. There were about 100 people there, and a lot of stories were told, and I thought it was great. And you guys were both there, right? Dakota, Alicia, what'd you think?
Yeah, it was great.
It was awesome.
I thought it was your birthday.
A lot of people thought it was my birthday. A lot of people thought it was my
Happy
birthday.
10th birthday, Mike.
I kept getting texts and messages going, "Hey man, happy birthday! I heard it's your birthday. I'm coming to your birthday party. Should I get you a gift?" I'm like, no. It's not my birthday.
Funny.
So
San Diego County gun owners celebrated 10 years.
Yeah,
That's a huge feat.
Yep.
I'm pleasantly surprised and I'm extremely honored. I think the thing I really liked about the celebration was the stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm convinced that we need to tell more stories on Gun Owners Radio, because people were coming up to me all night reminding me how they found San Diego County Gun Owners, or like what they did. Like, hey, here's how I fit in. Here's the thing I did. Here's the thing that San Diego County Gun Owners allowed me to do or fit in. Here's how it fit into my life. And I thought that was really, really cool. It was kind of touching. You kind of forget, like, oh yeah, that's right. That was 8 years ago. That was 5 years ago. That was 6 years ago. So.
Yeah, I went to my first meeting in 2017 over at Gunfighter Tactical when it was the first location.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why do you remember that?
Why? First, I had never been there before.
Mm-hmm.
So the location was completely new to me. I thought the decor was fantastic. I met Gina. It was just a fun night, and it was people that I had never met before. It was just a bunch of gun owners in a room, because really, when do we have another opportunity to really come together like that? Yeah. And it was just a neat opportunity. There was no pressure. There was no, you had speakers or people talking, but it was really just a time just to sit and talk and chat and have some hangout time, and it was great. It was fun. There was pizza.
Yeah.
It was great.
We love free pizza.
Yeah.
Well,
went over.
Yeah, well, the 10-year anniversary had free food as well.
Yeah.
And we were honored by 2 elected officials.
Yeah.
County Board of Supervisors, Joel Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
He gave us a proclamation. And then
Dane White.
Dane White, the mayor of Escondido. It was San Diego County Gun Owners Day. It was the November 6th was San Diego County Gun Owners Day, which was very, very cool.
Very cool.
So there's a lot of new faces, a lot of faces that have been around from the beginning.
Yeah.
It was a really, really cool mix. I said it before, and it bears repeating. Thanks to San Diego County gun owners and all the volunteers and all the hard work that they've put into it, more people own guns in San Diego, more people carry guns in San Diego, more people train with guns in San Diego, more people vote because of guns in San Diego, more people are in office because of San Diego County gun owners than ever before. We've really, truly changed public policy. We've changed culture, and both have changed each other. And I'm extremely proud of all the accomplishments, and none of it is possible without the members.
I know we kind of heard a little bit about the last 10 years right now, but I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you about, what do you envision for San Diego County gun owners for the next 10 years? Like, what's your goal? What would you love to see happen?
Good question. So the first most obvious answer is everything we've already accomplished times 10.
Bigger. Okay.
Yeah.
Bigger and better.
More of what we've already done. So in other words, more shooting socials, more women going through Not Me, more members. We're at like 4,200 members. And, that's a number I'm both proud of and frustrated by.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, wow, 4,200 members and growing. but it feels like it should be 42,000. You know, and that's not hyperbole. There's 3.5 million people in San Diego County.
I was just looking up the population of San Diego County.
3.5 million people, and having 42,000 members is not outlandish.
Right.
So more of that. But then we're also going to do a couple of things like I want to get, we started out the first year we had membership cards. That was a nightmare. So we want to get an app so that there's a membership app so that you can, have on your phone, like, hey, I'm a member. Or, hey, I need to renew, that we can push messages through like, hey, we need you to do this, or we need you to contact this elected official and say that, that kind of thing. We're going to start 2026. We're going to start sending welcome packets.
Nice.
So if somebody signs up for a membership, they're going to get a welcome packet in the mail.
So a brand new member, first time ever getting a membership, they'll have what kind of stuff, like little information about.
They'll get a welcome letter with information about the organization. They'll get a lapel pin. They'll get some other marketing things. But basically another way to welcome them. So it's not just an email. It's another way to say, hey, you're valued. A sticker. They're going to get a sticker.
Fun.
So improving the membership experience is extremely important. And at year 10, I think it's something that we really want to concentrate on. So it's important to get people in the door, but then it's important to keep them once they're here.
Yeah, definitely.
So
okay, so let me ask about kind of grand vision. What is San Diego County gun owners doing in other places in 10 years? Like what, I know you've got Inland Empire, right?
Oh, I see. So yes. So San Diego County Gun Owners is a standalone organization. So all the money that's raised in San Diego, stays in San Diego. Like we're completely and totally dedicated to San Diego. However, there is the same branding, same plan, same mission statement in Orange County. It's a totally separate entity, Orange County Gun Owners. They're hopefully one day going to be as big as San Diego County Gun Owners.
Yeah. Right.
And then in Riverside County and San Bernardino County, there is Inland Empire Gun Owners. And they are, again, a standalone entity. And hopefully one day will be as big as San Diego County Gun Owners. And then, there are 58 counties in California, but it was never part of the plan to be in all 58 counties. There are some counties out there that, the population is just not big enough. There's just not a need,
Yeah.
So I think strategically there are probably 6 or 7 more locations. I would love to see next. I think I would love to see LA County Gun Owners. I think there's a lot of need for a Second Amendment organization in LA County. And then Northern California, the Bay Area, there's probably room enough for more than one organization in the Bay Area. So taking what we've done and the success we've had in San Diego and moving it to other places, but it's a heavy lift. There's a lot that goes into it. It's not just, planting a flag and saying, hey, we're here.
Right.
There's a lot of things that go into it, People and money is what it all boils down to. Those are the only tools you have in politics. So
Yeah.
So I want to thank all of you for helping us get to 10 years with San Diego County Gun Owners. We've been extremely effective. I mean, in a lot of ways, exceeded expectations. I can't believe some of the programs, some of the successes we've had, some of the battles we've won. It's just absolutely amazing. So whatever part you played in San Diego County Gun Owners getting to the 10-year mark, I thank you so much. And challenge you to do just a little bit more this year than you did last year. Just do a little bit more this year than you did last year. And like our saying goes, together we will win. 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lyle. Happy birthday to you. Big round of applause. Everybody stand up.
Remember that we are not lawyers and nothing that we say is to be taken as legal advice. Our sponsor, John Dillon, is a lawyer, and he has been helping to fight those gun violence restraining orders, GVROs, and more. So if you know somebody that's had their self-defense rights taken away without due process, give John a call. His website is dylanlawgp.com, and his phone number is 760-642-7150.
Okay, unfortunately, horrible news. Prop 50, which we've talked about for about a month now or so, passed. But there's so much more to the story than that. And we talked about it a little bit. I put out a video a few weeks ago talking about how the way it was sold to people is completely and totally untrue. But there are a lot of different things to talk about. First off, Prop 50 passed, and the no on Prop 50 folks got shellacked. It wasn't even close. It was really bad. Prop 50 passed with right now about 64% of the vote. 64% of the vote. 36% were against. So 63 is about 5.6 million voters in California, and 36% is 3.2 million of the voters. Now, one of the things that I want you to learn about politics, I want people to understand about politics. Far too often, people look at elections as if 100% of the people vote 100% of the time. And there's not an election in U.S. history where that has ever happened. So why is that important? Well, first off, 100% of the people can't vote. So it's not even 100% of the eligible people vote. It's usually a very low number, and especially in these special elections, it's an extremely low number, which is what we saw. I mean, California has, 35, 40 million people?
Yeah, I mean, just our county has 3.5
3.5 million, yeah. And 5.6 million won? 5.6 million won. Now, let me show you something real quick. Let's pull up the gun owners didn't show up as of January 1st, 2023. So there's a press release out that came out back in 2023. This press release is from the California DOJ. I just want to draw your attention to the one thing on the press release. So if you look kind of down towards the bottom there, as of January 1st, 2023, there were 3,347,221 known registered firearms owners in California. 3.3 million firearms owners in California. And how much did this win by? It was only 5.6 million people voted for Prop 50 and it won. Now, they're still counting in some areas, so that number is going to go up, but not by much.
I pulled registered number of voters in the state of California.
Mm-hmm.
So statewide, as of October 20th, 2025, I just pulled this report. Eligible voters in the state, 27,211,000.
That's
Those
eligible. Those are eligible.
Those registered, 23 million.
So that's an
Of the
even
23 million.
subset.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's my point? Well, there's a couple of points here. Number one, gun owners didn't show up.
Right.
Gun owners didn't show up. There's no way, 3.2 million people right now voted against it. There's no way you're going to be able to convince me that 100% of those voters were gun owners.
Right.
Gun owners didn't show up. But the other thing is, people think elections are about messaging or about race or about image or about everything other than what elections are about. Elections are who shows up. Prop 50, the pro Prop 50 people, they got their folks to show up, therefore they won. And when you say, well, gee, what do you mean they got there? It just happens to be that more people thought it was a good idea. No, that's not how people show up. How people show up is that you contact them and say, hey, we need you to show up. Hey, did you get your ballot? Hey, did you fill it out? Hey, did you turn it in? Hey, did you get your friend to vote? Did you get your family to vote? Show up and actually vote. That's politics. That's how you win elections. And the no on Prop 50 side clearly didn't do anywhere near enough. Now, we were sending people to the to reform California. They did a great job. They did everything they could to try to get people motivated. But if only 1/3 of your voters are going to bother to show up, you're not going to win, especially in a state like California. It's just not going to happen. So if you wonder how this happened, then you have to look. If you showed up and voted, then it's your neighbor, it's your family member, it's your coworker. But the other part of that is it's somebody you didn't talk to. It's somebody that you didn't motivate. It's somebody that you didn't say, hey, you mind if we have a cup of coffee? I need you to hear how important this is. But it was a shellacking. It's not even close. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, all right, well, great, we're going to go to court with this. And my understanding is that there's at least one law firm that has filed a lawsuit. And the lawsuit is based on, it's kind of interesting, but it's based on race. So they're making the case that, hey, these new districts were drawn based on the race of the constituents, and therefore it's illegal.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's right. It is illegal to do that.
Correct. Racial gerrymandering.
And what the racial gerrymandering is illegal. It's
Correct.
Unconstitutional. And in Texas, there was a case that was won, and they're trying to mirror that case. I don't see it working here. Now, I will say that they've shown some examples where, some folks have made some statements like, hey, this district now better reflects the, Hispanic or Black community or that sort of thing. But the idea that they started from a platform of racial bias to redraw these districts, I think we're grasping at straws. We're not going to be able to count on that. Now to undo this will have to be another proposition. Now, I think what they're really trying to do is just try to slow this thing down so it doesn't count for 2026. That's a great tactic. If you can convince the court that, hey, we at least have a case, so please just put the brakes on this thing so we don't have to deal with this in 2026, I think that's a great tactic. But the idea that this thing is going to actually work and undo this, I just don't think that's going to happen. I want to talk about what sparked this off. And I did a video of it, just a little selfie video a few weeks ago, and I invite you to watch it. It's about 18 minutes long. We'll really go into it. But I want to just kind of show you a couple of things, because you were truly lied to. You were absolutely lied to about what was happening here. And it made me question on whether or not I wanted to vote for Prop 50 or not, because the idea was, hey, Texas went in and they redrew districts and got 5 more Republicans elected than they had before. Now, can you guys name an elected person who is in one of these new districts in Texas that benefited from this? Because that's the idea, right? Are you guys under the impression that Texas got 5 new Congress folks because they gerrymandered districts?
I heard that. I'm not under the impression that that's the case, but I did hear that. That's what was being shared.
So
Yes.
nobody's. But the point I'm trying. I don't mean to. This isn't like a gotcha thing.
No, I know.
But they got you. They were trying to gotcha.
Yes.
So nobody has actually been elected in Texas because of these new districts.
Right.
It hasn't gone through an election cycle yet. But what they did do is in the 2020 census, when they redrew districts, they actually said, hey, we need districts drawn so that there are better chances for Black and Hispanic folks to be elected. And they were actually sued. And by the way, this had nothing to do with Trump. This was still under Biden. But they were sued and lost in court. And because it was very clear that their intention was to draw these districts so that they, could get somebody who's Black or Hispanic elected, whatever their intentions were. Maybe it was pure and good intentions, but the fact is that's unconstitutional. That's not allowed. It's not okay if they're Black or Hispanic. It's not okay if they're white. It's not okay to redraw a district based on race. So they did that. They lost in court and were forced to go redraw these districts. And that's when California and the Democratic Party absolutely fell apart. Now, I want to show you one of the districts that they redrew, that they gerrymandered so that a Republican can finally get elected into this district. So pull up Texas District 2, that graphic there. Now, if you look on the left, that's the old district. That is the textbook definition of gerrymandering. They clearly went into areas to get a stronger Democrat, or excuse me, a stronger Hispanic vote so that that district can finally elect a Republican. On the right, that's the new district. That's pretty much what a district should look like, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's not
That's what I'd
gerrymandered.
expect.
Now, here's the kicker. Here's the interesting thing. So that new map, it dropped a portion of the district that actually, you see that part that snaked into it's actually the central Houston area where there was a high density of Black and Hispanic voters. So that's why it snaked off to the left right there, because it was taking a portion of Houston that had a lot of Black and Hispanic voters. Now, why would Democrats want to do that? Because the majority of Black voters and Hispanic voters vote for Democrats. So under the guise of, hey, we want to help different communities out, they really just wanted to get more Democrats elected. Now, here's the kicker. Guess who currently is the congressman in District 2?
A Republican.
Dan Crenshaw,
Yeah.
a Republican.
Yes.
Dan Crenshaw is a Republican. Now, you might, I don't know if you may be able to criticize just how Republican he is. I get it. But Crenshaw outperformed the president in that district by 12 points. So as a result, the district, which Trump won by only a single point in 2020, is now proposed to become one that the former president would have claimed by a whopping 23 points. So, but who's in that seat? Crenshaw. So are the Republicans going to pick up 5 seats? No, they already have this seat. They completely lied to you. If you voted for Prop 50 because you thought the Republicans went in and stole seats, you were lied to. They completely and totally fooled you. You didn't do your research, and the Democrats lied and didn't just mislead you. They out and out lied to you and basically said, hey, this Republican district, well, they made it Republican and now it's Republican. It was already Republican. It was clearly gerrymandered. It was absolutely gerrymandered for racial reasons, which is unconstitutional.
Yeah. So if I'm summing this up correctly,
Go ahead.
Texas was using already an unconstitutional gerrymandering scheme, essentially,
Yes.
that got ruled unconstitutional and had to be reversed.
Yes.
And now they're no longer gerrymandering.
Right.
So California's response was, let's do some gerrymandering.
That's exactly right, but I want to emphasize that they also said, hey, they're going to pick up 5 Republicans in Texas because of this decision.
Right. Which
isn't a lie. That's a
Yes.
complete and total lie.
Yes.
He was already there. Now I could go through the other 4, but that's the most glaring.
So the way that I heard this kind of posited is that Trump's somebody in the Trump cabinet was upset about, the gerrymandering in Texas. Mm-hmm. But the way that it was discussed and the way that I heard it phrased is that Trump began pressuring Texas to redraw their districts. And I don't think that that's really a reasonable analysis of what happened at all. I think that Trump's what's the word I'm missing here? The people that work for Trump.
His administration.
Administration. Thank you. I was like, what is that word? The Trump administration was like, this is not constitutional. I think that's a little bit different than pressuring somebody to redraw a district. They're saying, hey, you're doing something unconstitutional. You have 4 current districts that are unconstitutionally drawn, and you need to redraw them. That to me doesn't sound like pressure from an administration who wants more seats.
Right.
It sounds like an investigation into something that was unethical and shouldn't have been allowed in the beginning.
Well, but there's two important points. The first is the Trump administration has no ability to pressure a state. They can sit there and tell a state all day long, So
right.
they weren't pressuring them. However, the courts did pressure them.
Right.
And those lawsuits started under the Biden administration.
Yes.
They didn't start under the so not only was Trump not even in office when all this started, but second, if there was any pressuring to be done, it was the Trump DOJ saying, "Hey, you need to follow this court order."
Right.
Is all that was happening. But all this was in play by the time Trump got into office.
So here's a quote from an article in the Texas Tribune.
Go for it.
Okay, so this article is basically about the history of the lawsuit and all of that. So here's the quote. Lawmakers weren't expected to redraw Texas's maps until after the 2030 census. But then, just as the 2025 legislative session was wrapping up, President Donald Trump began pressuring Texas to redraw its congressional maps to add up to 5 more GOP seats. As part of that pressure campaign, the DOJ sent Abbott and Attorney General Ken Paxton a letter alerting them that 4 of their existing congressional districts were unconstitutional coalition districts. If you read that and you fall for it, I understand.
Right.
I originally, when this was all making the news, it was all over social media, there's all these memes. It's basically like Texas was pressured by Trump to do this,
Right.
horrible thing, and we have to fight back, da, da, da. I understand why it's confusing, because even in, this Texas Tribune article, they are saying things that are just outright untrue. And unfortunately, our media does drive, public opinion on things. Media drives, whether or not people voted yes or no on Prop 50. But just after reading so many of these articles and then doing more in-depth research, which is a little hard to do, by the way, it was a little tricky to find out everything about the Texas situation without it being like, oh, Trump did this horrible thing. Once I kind of dove into it more, I was like, this is actually insane that California's response to this is Prop 50.
Well, the Republican Party in California did not do itself any favors. They didn't. I didn't learn this from the Republican Party.
No.
And you didn't learn it from the Republican Party. We had to actually go look at it. The Republican Party didn't talk about this at all. They turned it into a, Trump versus, Democrats,
Yes.
which is the exact wrong thing to do in the state of California.
And especially when a lot of Republicans aren't happy with the way that Trump's performing right now in other ways too, right? So it's not like you're going to band us all together and be like pro our president. Like a lot of Republicans also have, qualms with how Trump has handled some things recently. And so if we want to band together, let's find some common ground. We all could have agreed that it's atrocious the way that the Democrats lied to everybody about this proposition.
I think hundreds of thousands of people stayed home because they believed that Republicans were cheating in Texas and that they kind of got what was coming to them. By the way, somewhere around 24% to 38% of people in California are Republican voters. If you look at our congressional delegation, it's about 17% that are Republican. So California is already underrepresented when it comes to their voters and their congressional members. If all 5 of these new districts in California fall to Democrats, it will be 7%. So 7% of our congressional, there are 52 districts, 7% of the 52, 7% of the 52 will be Republicans. And in a state where 25 to 38% of voters vote Republican. I mean, now let me show you. I want to show you another example. This doesn't have to do necessarily with Prop 50. It doesn't have to do with Texas. But let's take a look at Oregon. Now, if you see where, so it's District 1, 3, 5, and 6. See how District 1, 3, 5, and 6 all kind of meet? Well, right in the center of that is Portland. So Portland, Oregon has 4 Congress members that touch downtown. Why is that? Why did they do that? Well, the reason they did that is they went to the rural areas, 3, 5, 6, and 1. Those are rural areas, or at least suburban, but they're far more rural than downtown Portland. And they said, okay, which are typically Republican, right?
Right.
And what they did is they borrowed enough Democrat voters from downtown Portland to ensure that these districts, which there should probably be at least 3 out of 4 of those should be Republican, but instead it's like I think they're all Democrat. So that's how gerrymandering works. That's what they try to do. They look and they go, okay, here's a section of voters we don't like. Now let's go find a section of voters and take just enough to give us an advantage so that we can elect who we want. Now, just to prove the point, show that other map. So this other map is also Oregon. Look, that's how Oregon actually looks. Now that's geography, so a lot of the red areas are less populated. But you see that deep blue section right at the top there? That's the section that they borrowed from in order to make those kind of pink areas that have a lot of Republicans, make them less Republican. So that's why that happened. That's how they gerrymander. That's how they cheat. And is it cheating? Well, it's not illegal. But if you look at, pull up the Wikipedia one more time on Oregon. The actual article, it lists Oregon has 6. There you go. Page down. They have 6 members of Congress. One of them is a Republican. Now, if you go back to either of those maps, does that make any sense at all?
No.
Does it make any sense at all that they should have 1 out of their 6 Republicans? That's gerrymandering. That's how they do it. Democrats do it. Democrats do it. This is another situation where this isn't equal. Like, well, both sides do it. Republicans and Democrats do it. Democrats are enormously, ridiculously, lopsidedly guilty of this again and again and again. You know, when I moved to San Diego in 1997, Oregon was one of the places that conservative and Republican voters in California were escaping to.
Really?
They were like, hey, we got to go to Oregon. They got good gun laws. They're conservative, whatever. That was one of the places they were escaping to. But now, because they've, used things like gerrymandering, now Oregon's a Democrat, stronghold. But that's how they do it. It shouldn't be a Democrat stronghold. So when they get up there and clutch their pearls and talk about how, well, Trump screwed us in Texas. By the way, if you're having trouble convincing people that there are a lot of Republican voters in Texas, then you're talking with somebody who's not being intellectually honest, number one. So just a couple of facts. As of April 2024, there are 994,500 registered Democrats. 994,000 registered Democrats in Oregon. At the same time, same survey, April 2024, 722,000 registered Republicans. So it's almost 50-50.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be only 1 out of 6.
Yeah.
But they gerrymandered and stole voters from Portland in order to advance their goals.
I wonder also, because that's the registered voters, right? I wonder what we see, generally speaking, as far as what percentage of registered voters vote in elections on each side. Because I've seen some things, that it's kind of dependent on city, it's dependent on socioeconomics, it's dependent on a lot of things. But in general, we know that a lot of people who are registered to vote still don't vote. Do we know if more Republican, voters or Democratic voters typically show up at the polls?
Yeah, well, there's a bunch of numbers. Honestly, one of the things that's confusing to a lot of people, and I think, unfortunately, the California Republican Party was kind of counting on this, special elections typically favor Republicans. Mm-hmm. Republicans typically show up and
I heard that too.
Yeah, in off presidential election years, when there's not a president on the ticket or if it's a special election, typically more Republicans show up, but not in this case.
Yeah, I think it just goes back to the dishonesty in the advertising for these propositions. And sometimes even the way propositions are written are so confusing or so misleading that it makes it feel like you're voting for something you're not voting for. And they know that when they write them, and they know that when they make the articles, and they know that when they, put the commercials on TV, that they're going to trick people with this dishonest rhetoric. And it's really unfortunate that that's the, state of politics in the U.S.
Well, it is the state of politics, but in this case, it's more than just, business as usual. Well, politics, they're dishonest. This was an out and out lie. Like they absolutely lied to voters. They completely didn't just mislead. They gave false information. And unfortunately, people didn't do their research. I mean, there was part of me was going, hey, wait a minute. If Republicans are cheating, maybe they should get what's coming to them. Until I actually did the research and looked this up. That's what happened. Can we show that video of the guy? This is kind of the sentiment I think that a lot of people have in voters. I think he's echoing it. But I wanted to emphasize.
So they want me to believe that over 6 million people voted for Trump in California, and only half that amount voted no against Prop 50? The math ain't mathin'. Make that make sense.
So I think that's a lot of people's attitude, but the math is mathing. The answer is yes, because they didn't show up.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, well, gee, there's some conspiracy theory. The conspiracy is a lot of people who should have voted no conspired to sit on the couch and not show up.
Yeah.
They said, hey, I'm not going to do it this time. I'm not going to show up at the poll. Nothing good can happen. And that's not good. Now, I want to talk quickly about the consequences here. So if you look at California District 48, that is Darrell Issa. Darrell Issa is very good on the Second Amendment. In fact, he proposed a couple of things this year, and he's in a district in East County, San Diego. And I think all of us pretty much agree that East County, San Diego is pretty solidly Republican. Mm-hmm. And the more rural you get, the more Republican it gets. I don't think that that's a shocker. I don't think that that's an outlandish statement. I don't even think that I have to prove that. I think everybody is pretty convinced that Lakeside, at Alpine, Santee, those are Republican places. So this new district, Issa is so outnumbered. He's probably going to – it's going to be really, really tough. I don't want to say he's probably going to lose, but it's going to be enormously tough. It's going to be impossible if people don't get involved. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you that. If the people who didn't show up to vote against Prop 50 stay home and do nothing, then Issa is going to go bye-bye. And here's the person who's going to replace Issa, most likely. This is Marnie von Wilpert. She was on the San Diego City Council. She worked for the city attorney, Mara Elliott. She is as anti-gun as they come. She authored California's ban on home manufactured guns, actually San Diego's ban on home manufactured guns. She made San Diego the largest city to put firearms dealers on the hook if they have any minor errors. So basically, if you are an FFL in the city of San Diego and you have any kind of I'm not talking, you took a gun and gave it to a criminal. I'm saying you didn't dot an I or cross a T. Then Marnie von Wilpert made sure that you're going to be put out of business. And then also, if you have any minor dings, gun dealers that have any kind of ding on their record at all won't be able to do business with the city anymore. That's Marnie von Wilpert. She's extremely anti-gun. She's not kind of anti-gun. She isn't anti-gun because anti-gunners ask her to do things and she says, oh, okay, gee, golly gosh. This is an extremist. So we're going to replace an NRA-endorsed congressperson who actually has introduced legislation to benefit gun owners with somebody that is vehemently anti-gun. If you can honestly tell me that this person looks, acts, and behaves like an East County voter, that's how gerrymandering completely and totally destroys people's voices. That's how it marginalizes voters and abuses the system.
Yeah, Marnie has been very vocal about her, thoughts on Second Amendment and on gun safety, or common sense gun safety, as she calls it. But there's a quote recently from, I think this was maybe a month or two ago. She said, I am honored to receive the support of San Diegans for gun violence prevention, who tirelessly advocate, and their tireless advocacy has made our region safer. As a city council member and San Diego's public safety chair, I've seen the devastating impact of gun violence firsthand, and I've brought people together to take action. In Congress, I will fight for common sense gun safety laws so that no family has to experience the heartbreak of losing a loved one to preventable violence. Marnie, if you have a solution for preventable violence, if you have a solution for losing loved ones, that is awesome. And you should definitely let everybody know, because there are lots of people who would like to not lose their loved ones. But I don't think that common sense gun safety laws you have in mind would even be close to solving that major societal and cultural problem.
Well, everything that she said thus far is that disarming victims is going to somehow prevent violence.
Correct.
Yes.
And I'm just not that math ain't mathing.
Yeah.
Those words don't mean what she thinks they mean.
No, they don't.
It's complete opposite.
So that is how they took her. I got to tell you, I'm not a Republican. I sure as heck am not a Democrat. I'm not partisan. I call balls and strikes. But man, the Democratic Party has absolutely marginalized voters, not just in the state of California, but in other states, like I showed it in Oregon. They completely and totally abuse the system. They hide behind the facade of fighting for minority communities, which is a complete and total lie. And it's just completely and totally unacceptable what they're doing. And the fact that they are not just misleading or just, telling people what they want to hear like normal politicians do, but they're out and out lying to you. If you voted yes on Prop 50 because you wanted to get back at the Republicans for stealing votes, for stealing seats in Texas, because that's what the Democrats told you, you're a sucker. You got lied to. You got took, hook, line, and sinker. And if you sat at home and let this happen, I don't know what to tell you. There's so many organizations out there that gave you the ability to do effective work. There were organizations, including this show, that informed you how important this was and why it was bad. And if you sat at home and allowed this to happen and then dare to complain, I don't know what to say. I just don't know what to say. So there you go. That's Prop 50. It was an absolute shellacking. This is going to have consequences for years to come. Years to come, even after if they redraw the lines. Even if even if it wins in court, which I'm just not counting on. I'm not counting on this thing getting overturned in court. Courts have a tendency to hold up propositions as like the end all be all, like it's written in stone, which is why they went with propositions. To undo a proposition, you have to pass a proposition, which is exactly what they did. So there you go, Prop 50, pretty bad loss. So the lifeblood of every organization is membership. We absolutely need membership. And you as a Second Amendment activist want to be involved. You want to help make things better. And we have a way for you to be involved, get involved, and stay involved. Look at our volunteer page. If you go to sdcgo.org/volunteer, we keep it up to date, and there's always an opportunity for you to get more involved. Our bread and butter are our shooting socials, where we teach people how to shoot. They've never had a shooting experience. Maybe they're brand new to shooting and they want to have a first-time shooting experience. You can help us do that. Or if you want to help spread the word, we have tabletops at different gun shops, at different events, and you can volunteer to tell people more about the Second Amendment, more about how to get a CCW, or more about being a member of an organization like SDCGO. The good news is it's super easy. We'll help train you. We'll help you get involved. We'll give you the opportunity to do good things.
If you don't have the time to volunteer, there's another way that you can help too. We are always looking for folks to donate. And if you want to pledge $5,000 in this next year, we will have you on our show as a guest host. So come join us in the studio. We would love to have you here for one episode, and that is for a price of $5,000.
$5,000 donation to San Diego County Gun Owners gets you a guest host with me and Dakota and Alicia, and you get to talk about whatever you want to talk about, and you get to do whatever you want to right here on Gun Owners Radio. So thank you so much. Whatever you do, just do a little bit more than you did last year and help us defend and preserve the Second Amendment right here in your backyard. So our first guest is Barry Todd. He wrote a book called Stand Your Ground, and it is described as one man's true life story, proves why defending yourself and knowing your constitutional rights matters more than ever. I'm very excited to hear his story. So I'd like to introduce you to Barry Todd. Barry, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
You bet. It's hard to know even where to start. Let's first start with your background. What do you do for a living?
Well, I'm the CEO and chairman of the board of the National Financial Advisory Firm.
Oh, wow. Nice.
We're headquartered out of Yuma, Arizona. We have offices from Fairfax to California.
Excellent. And how long? This is a story about you in a defensive gun use, a DGU. Have
Most
you
definitely was.
have you been carrying for a long time, or were you relatively new when this happened, or what's your experience with gun ownership?
Well, I'm a retired Army Ranger. I did 21 years. Then I got into the financial services world, but I've always carried a weapon since I was old enough as a young adult to carry a weapon. And I've always had a CCW, always go to the training and get out there and practice when I can.
That's awesome. So let's talk about the book is centered around an incident, around a defensive gun use. So let's talk about what happened that night. You're carrying for self-defense, and take it from there. What happened?
Well, simply, my wife and I were out with 4 other retired military couples. We were just having a nice evening of dinner, listening to music and dancing. And all of a sudden, this guy who was extremely intoxicated, he started out threatening me. I walked away multiple times. And then I was attacked out in the parking lot, not by one, but 2 men, twice, one of them wielding a knife. And when the police showed up, without any investigation or due process, within 5 hours, they arrested me and charged me with attempted murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault. And the crazy thing about the whole thing is there were 16 operational cameras in and around the building. The entire thing was on video, and they never, ever looked at any of it before they charged me.
Wow. Okay, let's get some details. Let's fill in some details here. Okay, so you guys are at a bar, at a restaurant. What kind of facility was it?
It was a bar and grill. We had dinner there that night. We all met there. The owner was actually retired military too. We always met there once a month to support him and his establishment.
And you're carrying concealed with a carry permit.
Yes.
And what state were you in?
Arizona.
You're in Arizona. So it's totally legal. You're completely legal. You're doing
Correct.
something you do every day of the week. You're carrying concealed. I'm assuming you're carrying in a holster, probably appendix carry or whatever. What kind of gun are you carrying? What kind of holster was it in?
All right. Well, first off, this night, because I was going to be inside and taking my jacket off, it was one similar to this one I'm wearing. I took it off, so I left it in a locked container in my vehicle.
Oh, interesting. So you were in the restaurant, but weren't carrying. You left your carry gun in your car.
Yeah, I was with 4 other retired special operators, and I'm like, I'm good to go. Nobody's going to mess with us.
Yeah, well, it sounded like you were going to have a good time. Maybe you had I don't know. Did you have a couple drinks or?
I did. I had over 6 hours. I had 5 beers, 12-ounce beers. My wife was not drinking. She was the DD that night.
Okay.
But the weapon, to answer the rest of your question, was a snub-nosed Ruger 357 SP-101.
I got to tell you, I with your accent, I can't imagine. I'm really happy to hear you were carrying a revolver. I think that's, you know what I mean? Like, there's something about that just fits. That made me warm inside. That's awesome. Okay, so you're carrying the most American gun ever, and you guys are just doing your thing, right? You and the other couples are just kind of doing your thing, having some food, having some drinks, I think you said doing some dancing, and then somebody he was just out looking for trouble, or why did he approach you?
All right, to give you a little bit more detail, he was an acquaintance of one of my retired military buddies, Robert Archibald. You read about him in the book. And he was there by himself sitting at the bar. And he said, "Oh, there's no reason for you to sit over there by yourself. Come on over." He had done a few jobs with him out on the job and was more of an acquaintance. But he said, "Yeah." But throughout the night, this guy started getting intoxicated, very intoxicated. And he actually made several advances against our women that were in our group, because all of us had our wives with us. And one of them on one of the videos actually slapped him for grabbing him down below.
He grabbed her.
Yeah, he grabbed her, excuse me.
And she smacked him.
Oh, yeah, and threw a drink on him.
Good for her, number one. Yeah. That's first off, good. So he's an acquaintance. You invited him over to have fun with you guys, and he starts getting way too drunk and far too handsy. I mean, so how come it didn't end right there? How come it wasn't like, hey man, you're out. You need to go find someplace else?
The place was not completely full. It probably was only at this time. It was about 10:30, and then, well, I don't know why he didn't leave, but the place was small, so he was bouncing all over the place throughout the night.
I see.
Okay. Right? And Trish, the woman that he assaulted, Archibald, which was Robert Archibald's wife, her husband did not see it. And so she purposely did not tell him. Because we know what would have happened next.
Yes.
So talk about what do you mean? What do you mean? You know how that goes? Talk about that. Like,
well, I've seen that many times where a woman is in a situation where she's uncomfortable or she's put in a position where she feels physically unsafe, and she thinks it would escalate the situation to let her partner know, because her partner is not going to be, chill about it, as they say, right?
No.
So that's definitely something I've seen before.
And so it sounds like your group was you guys are just trying to enjoy your evening. You're not escalating things. You're not, I mean, she threw a drink on him and smacked him, but I mean,
deservedly.
That was defensive, in nature. So how did it escalate from there? You guys are hanging out. He's bouncing around. He's getting more drunk. And then what happened?
And well, then at some point around that time period, he made advances to my wife, and my wife looked at him and said, listen, I am almost 60 years old. You are in your 30s, and this ain't happening. And he stormed off. And so I didn't even find that out until I went back to the table, because I was up there dancing with some of the other wives in our group, and my wife had taken a break. All of us were out there dancing when that happened.
Well, I think that by the way, for all the male listeners out there, things are serious when a woman tells you her age. Like that's a clue that you need, that things are not going well and things are. So clearly so you guys were being very direct and, all right. Okay. So then what happened? How did it escalate from there?
All right. Well, then I get up there, because they did allow karaoke that night, and they played a song that's my favorite karaoke song, which is "My Way" by Frank Sinatra.
Awesome.
So I get up there on stage, and I'm going to town, and I mean, my wife will tell you it's the only song that I sound good singing.
Yeah. I'm a Billy Idol White Wedding guy myself. I can't pull off Sinatra. I'm more of a, but anyway, let's continue.
I'm singing this song, and all of a sudden I got my eyes closed, closing out the song and singing it up on stage. And the next thing I know, I open my eyes, and he is literally right there. Right? I mean, he is that close to my face. And I said, dude, you need to back up. Your breath does not smell that good. All right. And I took the mic over to the DJ, and then I requested another song because I wanted to dance with my wife. And the next thing I know, when I step away, this guy threatens me on stage there. The stage was about 2 feet. And I turned around and I said, I'm not fighting you. And I stepped down. He threatens me again when I step off the stage, and he follows me. There's nobody on the dance floor. You can actually see all this in the video. And I literally stop, and he turns and faces me. Now, he's 32 years old the night that this happened, and I was 52. And he was 6'3", weighed 260 pounds. And I'm 5'9.5", 5'10", and I weighed less than 170. Right. And I looked at him and I said, listen, I am too old to get in a bar room fight. This is not happening.
Yeah.
And I turned around because my wife gave me the keys before I sang that song, because I was going out to get a fresh can of Copenhagen out of my car. All right. And
as one does.
Driver. What's that?
As one does. Sure.
Yes, exactly. And so as I'm coming back in, he decides he's going to follow me out there. And he blocks me from entering.
Alicia, you got a question. Before we get too much further, Alicia, what was your question?
Barry, I just have a quick question. You said a couple times that he threatened you. I'm curious, what does that mean? What did he do to threaten you?
I was getting ready to get to that point.
Okay.
So Well, he threatened me there on the stage, and then he threatened me on the dance floor. And I didn't notice that he followed me outside. So I go to my car, I get my Copenhagen, I put a fresh dip in as I'm walking back to the door, and here he is. And I go to walk around him, and he takes a step and puts his hands in his pocket, with his hands in his pockets, and blocks me. And so I go the other way, and he blocks me again. And I'm like, what is your problem? He goes, I'm going to teach you respect. And I said, you're not teaching me anything. I'm going in there, and I had the can of Copenhagen in my hand. I said, I'm going inside, and with my wife and my friends, and that's it. We're done. So I go to walk around him, and that's when he starts shoving me. And so I go around the other way around him, and I was still pretty spry as I get older. I got around him, but he got hold of my belt loop because there was double doors right there. And as I got to the one on the left, entering in there, he got hold of my belt loop. He got his arm around my waist. He lifted me in the air, spun me 180 degrees outside, slammed me head first into a cinder block wall.
Jeez.
And I stood up. The bouncer came out, or he wasn't really a bouncer because he didn't stop anything. And he stood between us. And he goes, you guys are friends, because he saw him over at our table. So he made that assumption. And I said, he's not my friend. I don't know him from Adam. The next thing I know, I get cold cocked on the side of the head. I go down again. I come back up. I said, that's it. I'm going in there. I'm getting my wife and my belongings, and I'm leaving. And he goes, that he used some very foul language, but he said, that blank is mine. And or no, you're not going back in there, and that blank is mine. And I'll tell you that it started with a B. And I said, all right, young man, understand I am armed. All right. And in Arizona, you do not have to have your weapon on you. That's our law. All right. You just have to let them know. And now this location that we were at was near a Harley Davidson dealership. But it was literally that time of night, everything was closed on there. There's no street lights. There's no sidewalks on this road. It's out there in the desert. And it would have been for me to get, I didn't have my phone on me, didn't have anything on me, just the car keys. And I can't drive because I've been drinking. And he says, go get your effing gun. Okay. So I go back to my car. I get my weapon in accordance with Arizona law, and I brandish it in a manner that shows that I'm doing self-defense, down by my side, not pointing at anybody. I try to go back in, and he's right there at the door. And I stopped short. I pointed my finger at him, and I said, I'm going back in that building, getting my wife and my belongings, and I'm leaving. Before I could even get my hand down, he attacked me again, diving for the gun, trying to get it from me. That's when his buddy pulled a buck knife and grabbed me from behind. I don't know why he didn't stab me.
Jeez.
All right.
And security's just doing nothing?
Nothing, not a thing. And the next thing you know, I got this one guy has me in a chokehold from behind on the ground. He weighed more than the other guy, and he was 6'4". That was his buddy. I didn't know it was his buddy. And then he's got the weapon pulled into his gut right here. Now he's trying to get this weapon from me. He broke my forearm. He was squeezing it so tight. And he actually caused a fracture right down this bottom bone from here all the way down to here. He squeezed it so hard. And I looked at him straight in his eyes, and I said, this is going to suck for both of us. And that's when the weapon went off, and rest is history.
So the weapon went off. Talk about that. Like, what does that mean? Where did the projectile end?
It went in his stomach and came out of his left shoulder, because he was on top of me. I was on the ground. All right. The chokehold, the guy was behind me. He had me in the chokehold, and he was right there in front of me with the gun pulled right up. I mean, right here, and his face was right there in front of me again. And I just said to him, I said, this is going to suck for both of us. The weapon went off. He stood up holding his gut, but the bullet went in his abdomen and came out his shoulder.
Jeez. And so did that end the attack?
Yes. That's when my friends heard it from inside. They rushed out along with my wife, and my the other attacker was still trying to get the weapon from me. They got him off, and then my wife said, "Let go, I'm here." And so I let go of it. They unloaded it, and then I sat down over on the wall and waited for the police to get there. And then they put handcuffs on me, didn't read me my rights or nothing, just put me in the back of the car, took me down to the interview room. And from there, about 5 hours later, they brought in a charge sheet. This is how crazy it is. This is going to blow your mind. He brought in a charge sheet because I told him, I did not do like everybody says, wait for your attorney. I told him exactly what happened. And he brought in a sheet of paper, didn't have my reading glasses on me like these right here. And he goes, "Would you read that and sign it?" And I said, "What is it?" He goes, "It's a charge sheet." And he goes, "A charge sheet?" I said, "I told you it was self-defense." His exact words to me were, "We have the whole thing on video." I said, "Great. Have you looked at the video?" His follow-on response was, "Not yet." I looked at him. I said, "Oh, you're a real intelligent life form. The oxygen is just flowing to your brain with a few expletives in there."
I think, and I got to tell you, a lot of people, I think that we've talked about this before, and what people need to understand is that cops have an extremely difficult job, but they are not your friend. And I think that we have this idea like, hey, we're the good guys. Cops are on our side. They're not on a side. They're not there to, help you. They're there to figure out a crime. And everybody, 90% of the people they deal with every day is they're a lying scumbag, criminal. So it's shocking to us when we find out. So you were being investigated for a crime, and I think that the thought is, hey, I'm supportive of law enforcement. I'm a good guy. I'm defending myself. This guy's going to help me out. All I got to do is talk to him and level with him and whatever. But that's not the right attitude to have. I don't think you should be polite and professional, and you should never cooperate with law enforcement. Never. And I don't mean be adversarial. I mean, don't cooperate. You don't have to be a part of your own investigation. But I think that's a lesson, and I think a lot of people hear that and they think, well, gosh, Mike's anti-cop. No, you have to listen, But what are your thoughts on the way it was investigated?
All they had to do was watch the video. This is how crazy it is. It went to 3 grand juries. It was sent to the grand jury a 4th time, and then because the prosecutor would not use the videos, and he would not present the correct self-defense laws in the grand juries. So my attorney kept sending in a motion to remand, and the judge would say, "I told you to present the videos and present Arizona self-defense laws." And every single time he wouldn't do it. And so he got so mad, the prosecutor, after he got sent back the 4th time to the grand jury, that he turned around and said, "I demand a preliminary hearing." And something that happened in my case, that my attorney, who was one of the 2 attorneys that got Miranda rights through the Supreme Court in 1969, okay? Now, he has since passed in 2023, but he was a brilliant attorney. And he goes, "Yes, we want to do it." And the judge turned around, took the video before the preliminary hearing. He goes, "I want to review it." So he took the video, he reviewed it, and he made findings of fact, which my attorney, in over 50 years of defense law, he said he had never seen a judge step forward and make findings of fact before a trial started. He said that video was so clean because we paid for a video forensics expert to take the 16 cameras and run it like a movie.
Oh, wow.
And he made the finding that I followed Arizona 13421, the law, which is defensive display of a firearm when you're being attacked.
So you did everything. So just to recap here, You did everything right in a pro-gun state. You were the victim and defended yourself. You know, you were being harassed. You were being, messed with, and you still almost went to jail.
Well, I spent 5 days in jail.
You spent 5 days in jail? Had you ever been in jail before?
$500,000 cash only.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I have a question for you, Barry.
Go ahead.
What were your charges? What did they charge you with?
Attempted murder and first degree attempted murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault. 1 for bodily harm and 1 for a deadly weapon.
Wow.
So I'm curious. I know that you were talking a bit about carry in the state of Arizona. You mentioned you left the firearm initially in your vehicle. I was doing a little bit of research as you were speaking, and I don't know if the law has changed or if it's the same now as it was then, so I'm not clear on that. But I'm curious, Arizona law now states you can't have any alcohol in the system and carry. You can be there in the bar, the DD, that kind of thing, but if you're consuming, they say you can't carry. I was just curious, did that play a role in any of this, or is that maybe the law that I see
That's
it
not
different
true
now?
if you have a CCW.
Okay.
All right. If you don't have a CCW, you're allowed to carry
the
anywhere in the
constitutional carry-
state except in a bar.
Gotcha. So the constitutional carry doesn't allow it, but the CCW does.
Correct.
Oh, gotcha. Thank you.
Great question.
So one reason to get your CCW in Arizona is so you can
There
have
you
a couple of drinks. All right, fair enough. So
Yeah, because
what did you
Go ahead.
learn from all this? Like first off, what was the final? I mean, were you everything was totally dismissed, or did anything stick, or what was the final
No,
verdict?
nothing stuck. The judge actually, in his final ruling, he dismissed the case. This is really cool. The preliminary hearing, and you got to read it, the book, or get the audio book.
Mhm.
It is hilarious. Do all your listeners out there know what the difference is between a grand jury and a preliminary hearing?
Tell us.
Okay, a grand jury is where the prosecutor, it's their playground. All right. There's no defense. There's no judge. They're supposed to present all the evidence as a minister of justice, not as a prosecutor. All right. Both evidence that would support their case and evidence against it. But in most cases, prosecutors don't do that. A preliminary hearing is the replacement of a grand jury. 2 states actually do not do grand juries anymore, and that is Connecticut and Pennsylvania. They do preliminary hearings on cases like mine. And that is where you have a judge and you have a prosecutor and a defense. You present all the evidence in front of a judge, and he determines is there probable cause, instead of 16 novice jurors that don't know the law.
Gotcha. So, but in the end, nothing stuck. You were declared not guilty on every charge. No, not one single charge stuck.
Yeah. All my attorney did was use the video when the prosecutor during the preliminary hearing brought up each of his witnesses, and every single one of them recanted their testimony on the stand. All right. That they had told them in their statements. And then the judge at the end said the case is dismissed due to lack of probable cause and justification defense, and Mr. Todd followed Arizona 13-421.
So what do you think the prosecutor's motivation was, if you had to guess, or maybe you have maybe you know why was the prosecutor pursuing this so hard?
Well, if you get the book and you read it, it's going to read like a Perry Mason or Matlock novel. I got to tell you all this. My lead investigator told me the morning of the preliminary hearing, when my attorney standing there, and goes, "I want you to tell you, Barry, this is not going to be like no Matlock story or Perry Mason." And it was so crazy at the end because the whole room jumped up and cheered and everything, because it only lasted about 6 hours. And I walk outside and he goes, "Only you would make it a Perry Mason and Matlock." It's crazy. The entire book is 100% accurate. It's all off of transcripts, recordings, videos, everything.
Okay. And you can get it at standyourgroundbook.com.
Yep.
And we don't want to give away too much. We want you to go read the book because it's an
hilarious.
excellent read. But give us Barry, what's one takeaway? What's one lesson that you learned?
3 lessons.
Okay.
First one is, number 1, don't give the police anything. Ask for your attorney. Number 2, do this now. If you're going to carry, get the insurance. Right? Get the insurance to cover the costs, because the costs are outrageous for a good defense. And a public defender does not have the time to dive into your case. And then most importantly, out of all of that, the most important thing is, remember, you are the boss of your legal team, not the attorney. All right. I almost fired my attorney because he wouldn't listen to me. All right. You can read about it in the book. But I mean, he had not brushed up on the new laws that had been passed over the previous 5 to 10 years of him taking my case. And he would argue with me about it, saying, what you learned in your CCW is not the law. I finally, at one point, had to sit him down and I said, who writes your paychecks? He goes, you do. I said, okay, read these laws. And I laid them in front of him and I said, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to read them. They're very short. 13.421, 13.411, and 13.413. I said, you read them before you say that to me again.
Right. There you go.
And he did. And then you know what he did?
What did he do?
He said, let me do some research. He went back, called me the next day. He goes, you were right. I was wrong. I'm waiving your next quarterly fee to me.
Man.
Aw, I love that.
He was a lawyer and he said and did that? Holy cow.
Yep.
That
So
is
know the law and take charge.
Good. Those
because
are good
it's
lessons.
your life on the line.
Barry, I appreciate this very much. It was fascinating. I really liked the details. I'm glad that you and your friends and your wives are okay. I'm glad that you're okay and live to tell the tale. It's standyourgroundbook.com. Check it out, standyourgroundbook.com. Barry Todd. That's great, man. That's great. Any parting thoughts?
Just, I just want to say that the things that got me through it were, number 1, my faith in God. Number 2, the support of my family, friends. And number 3, the Ranger training I received, because the mental, emotional, and physical turmoil I went through for 26 months is astronomical.
Wow. Phenomenal. Awesome job.
We're glad you made it out.
Yeah.
We're glad
Well,
you
thank you all,
didn't
and
go to
God bless
prison.
you.
And yeah, we appreciate you sharing your story with us.
All right. God
Thanks,
bless
Barry.
you. Have a wonderful day.
Take care.
All right.
So again, standyourgroundbook.com. Check it out. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good lessons learned. I'm sure there's even more in the book, but even just what Barry shared with us, I think it's important for us to remember that the cops are not our friends and that expenses are really high and you might get charged with something, even if there's video footage. That was like one of the craziest pieces of that whole story to me, was that they had all the evidence they could need and they just didn't review it.
Yeah, the prosecutors are definitely not your friends.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I think that we should require all future guests to have an accent.
That was very
That
fun.
made it a lot more fun.
That
So
was
anyway.
fun.
Well, there you go. Barry Todd, Stand Your Ground, standyourgroundbook.com. Check it out.
If you know a lady in your life who may want to explore shooting or sharpen her existing shooting skills, connect with like-minded women, or just have a fun night out on the range, A Girl and a Gun is the place to start. A Girl and a Gun is the nation's largest women's shooting club, created by women for women. With members in all 50 states and hundreds of partner ranges, A Girl and a Gun is home to the most credentialed team of female firearms instructors in the country, and we welcome shooters of all experience levels. If you don't have a physical chapter near you, join our e-chapter. You will still get tons of benefits and perks from being a member of our online chapter. Whether you're a defender, a competitor, or you just want a fun night on the range with the girls, A Girl and a Gun will give you the training, community, and support to reach your goals. Members enjoy exclusive discounts on gear and ammo, virtual training with top-notch instructors, and national events like our week-long training conference in Colorado, where hundreds of women from across the country come together for an unforgettable experience. Here in San Diego, our chapter is one of the largest in the nation, hosting monthly girls' night outs, range days, and classes designed to build skill and confidence in a welcome and empowering environment. So whether you're brand new to firearms or already passionate, find your tribe at agirlandagun.org. That's agirlandagun.org. And don't forget to look up your local chapter to get involved today.
So how many times have you seen a candidate or an elected official and thought, well, wait a minute, how did that person get in the race? Why am I just learning about this now? How do I get in on the ground floor? Well, you're going to find from our next guest that it's actually really easy to participate in the election process from the ground floor. It's not hard. It's actually very easy to show up, meet people who are running or are already in office. And our next guest, Emily Chen, she found that out this week, how easy it is to show up at an event and learn more firsthand rather than wait to see who other people advance for you. I think it's probably maybe the best way to put that. So firearms trainer, Emily Chen out of Oceanside. How are you?
I'm great, Michael. How are you doing? Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So you reached out to me earlier this week and said, hey, I just got invited to this event in San Marcos, and we talked more about it and talk a little bit about it. What was the event, or give us the timeline, or what made you go to the event?
Yeah, absolutely. So I had a mutual friend that had notified me that Lindsay Smith is running for city council, I believe it was. And so we attended her launch party earlier this week on Monday. It was a very casual, I would say business casual event at most. It was held at Michi Brew, and it was an exciting event actually. They had a taco caterer that came out. Everybody got to eat for free, which was great. They also provided us one ticket to get a free beer. And we just went around talking to people when Lindsay was available. Of course, she was very busy. She was very kind, very sweet, and answered all my questions that I had to know about what she is looking forward to making San Marcos a better city. Like you said, it is a very easy way to attend and get to know your local politicians. A lot of people, I think, feel as though they can't go to those things. You have to be someone important, or you just have to be a someone, when really all this politician wants to do is meet you in person, hear what your concerns are, and also know what you prioritize as not just an individual, but as a family, how to make the city a safer place. That way they know directly from you, they hear your voice and can make a difference.
Yeah, I think people, watch movies and they think that, a political fundraiser is like a, $1,000 a plate, formal affair with tuxedos or whatever. And they don't really think about the fact that, hey, this is somebody who's running for office right there in your backyard. You can show up and get free tacos, and meet the person and say, hey, these are my concerns. This is what I'm worried about. How many people were there?
Oh gosh, I want to say it was easily 100 people. I mean, there was just so many people there to support her, and people that didn't even know who she was, but they just walked in and said, "Hey, I heard you're running for office. I'd like to get to know where you stand."
And is this something you'd ever done before?
No, this is my very first time, and I was actually very excited and very encouraged because now I know that I can meet this politician in person rather than just hearing about what they stand for, whether it's online or over the radio on TV. I get to have a personalized moment with this person and see them face to face and hear them directly.
Nice. And how are you received by everybody there?
Very welcomed. I felt as though we were amongst friends. We never really talked about different beliefs, if there were any. People were just there to really come together for the community.
That's awesome. So this is something you'd do again.
Absolutely. I actually have another person in mind that I'd like to attend their party in December.
Cool. Who do you want to talk about that, or do you want to wait?
We'll wait.
Okay, we'll wait. All right. And one thing you did that I really appreciated is you reached out to me and said, "Hey, Mike, this person's running for office," and shared information with me, told me, who it was and what was going on, and then gave me a recap after. You met some folks there, but reaching out to me and letting me know, being, the Eisner, there are 18 city councils in San Diego County. There's a county board of supervisors with 5 people. There's a sheriff. I think there are a couple of dozen school boards. There are a ton of elected officials in San Diego County. And you being the eyes and ears for San Diego County gun owners, in your little part, you just saying, "Hey, here's what's going on. Wanted to make you aware," was super helpful. And I really, really appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it didn't take any effort whatsoever, just maybe a personal interest, and then also wanting to hear whether or not they support gun rights and whether or not they are willing to encourage gun safety in the community in the aspect of getting people educated, which is exactly what Lindsay was going for.
Good. Excellent. All right. Well, perfect. I wanted people to hear from you and hear that, hey, this isn't that complicated and it's not that hard and it's totally doable. And all you had to do was give a couple of hours on a school night, and it comes with free tacos. Getting involved in local politics, it just isn't that hard. And freedom, liberty, it's not a spectator sport. You got to show up. You got to get out. You can't be a wallflower. You can't hope that things go well, or you can't be surprised when they don't if you're not involved. So I really appreciate you jumping in. Anything else you want everybody to hear about your experience?
Yeah, so I'm just going to break it down really easy for those that are interested in doing this as well. If you hear anything about a launch party, just register. It costs absolutely nothing. They just want your name on the list so that they can expect you. So once you register, all you got to do is show up. You go to the location, they give you a name tag, and then you just go ahead and speak to whoever's there.
There you go. And just a quick tip, a lot of times what they'll put on the invite is, suggested donation is whatever, $100, whatever. You don't have to pay that.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, they want you there, and hey, if you listen to the candidate and you're inspired and you want to donate, great. But mainly they're trying to get in front of you to get to know you, but then also so that you can get to know them. Just a pro tip: you don't have to pay that suggested donation. They want you in that room. They'll make them earn that donation by talking to them first. Awesome. Hey, if people want to train with you because you're a firearms trainer, how do people find you?
Thank you so much. Yes, so I'm currently located in Oceanside. The range that I teach out of is Iron Sights off the 76 highway. And I also am located up in Chino Hills at Prado Olympic Shooting Park. My company name is ASI Dynamics.
Great, fantastic, and you noobs all the way up to experienced CCW folks, whatever you need to know about firearms training, Emily's there for you, right?
Thank you so much, Michael.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, awesome job. Thank you. So yeah, it's very cool. I get those texts and emails and phone calls all the time from people who say, "Hey, have you heard of so and so? They're running for something." And I think that I would get a lot more information if people knew how important it was, how easy it is, and how you don't have to be an expert.
Right.
A lot of people say, "Hey, this person is running for chairman of the thing on the place over here," or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, let's figure this out. No, they're running for city council. Okay, great. But it's super easy and super super important too for people to reach out and get involved and show up at these things.
To not rely on you to be a crutch, for them to go out and proactively be the one to get the information.
It is, yeah. And I want to tell more of these stories because I don't think people realize how much other people are involved, and this is politics.
Yeah. Well, I think too, like we've talked about it a bunch of times, but the people who are running for like your local water board or your school board or your city council or whatever on the, these smaller cities, those are the people who are going to become, senators one day or congress people one day. And it's important for us to have an idea of who these people are and vote them out if need be at that lower level, instead of letting them kind of work their way through the ranks and then get to a place where there's too much, positive sentiment about them. I think we've seen that with some of our local officials that we don't like so much, right? They started out on these smaller boards or in council at smaller cities.
I think you're more likely to get to know them as their real person too, when they don't think they have as many eyes on them.
100%.
So you get to see the more real them earlier on.
You can influence their policy if you get in there early enough, because you can bring them information that they don't have. At a certain level, they're so stuck on their platform that they're unwilling to make any changes. But right now, when you're just starting out your political career, this is when we can mold you and help you become the person that we want you to be, so that we can vote for you confidently.
I've seen that time and time again. People don't realize how moldable these folks are, and that's not in a bad way. I mean, if they don't know about guns, and somebody who's anti-gun gets to them first. So let's talk about Lindsey Smith real quick, and let's talk about San Marcos. So Lindsey Smith, she's running for San Marcos City Council. She is not endorsed yet. I don't know if we're going to endorse her. We have a lot of vetting to do. And again, I would put our vetting up against any organization in San Diego, in California, maybe even the nation. So she's really going to have to prove herself before she gets something as valuable as our endorsement, before we tell you, hey, spend your time and money, trying to get her elected. We want to make sure she's the right person. But I will tell you this. She's been to at least one of our shooting socials. It was important to her to come and show up at a shooting social and meet the folks and actually go through the program. She is a gun owner, and she's actually very interested in training as a result of the shooting social. She's endorsed by Mike Sanella, who's on the city council in San Marcos. He's somebody we've endorsed and somebody that I tend to trust. So there's a lot of positives. I think she's right at that stage where philosophically she's with us, but she doesn't have the nuance yet. Right. And that's the perfect, okay, great.
Perfect time to get her.
Perfect time to sink our teeth into her. No, it's the perfect time to educate her and bring her along, which is really excellent.
Curious, do we know, did she find the shooting social on her own, or was she invited? Do we kind of know anything about that?
It was okay. So I think it was a couple things. So I think she was told by, I think Mike Sanella was also there. Dane White, the mayor of Escondido, was there. So, I mean, I think that was her way. We had a shooting social in San Marcos, and that was her way of kind of reaching out to us. And she'd heard from others, which is great. And
I think Dane I think he's on her website. He's endorsed hers, or at least said that he likes her.
Yeah. And, exactly. But I think that the important thing is all the feedback. I haven't met her in person yet. And all the feedback I got about her at the shooting social was it was a sincere interest. So I don't know how many times candidates or elected officials will show up at our event and they just want to, shake babies and kiss hands, But she was there to learn. She was actually there to, hey, I'm here to go through the shooting social. It's nice that I get to meet people, but I really want to go through and see what this is all about, which is another good sign.
Yeah.
And San Marcos, not that great. Their city council is pretty bad. Their mayor, Rebecca Jones, definitely has not earned our endorsement. We actually endorsed her early when she was first running, and that's a big regret. She did not come through. She is not somebody that can be trusted with your Second Amendment rights, and not somebody that we want to, in fact, we've endorsed John Franklin, who's running for County Board of Supervisor, against her. And then Mike Sanella is great. He's on the city council. Right. But the other folks on the city council, not good on Second Amendment. And San Marcos, how many gun shops are in San Marcos alone?
You would expect a little bit of a different makeup there, honestly.
And it could be. it could be a different makeup, and it used to be a better makeup, and we can make it a better makeup again, but it takes work. It takes people going and saying, hey, this issue is important to me, and hey, once we endorse her, I'm going to help you. I'm going to walk a neighborhood. I'm going to stuff an envelope. I'm going to give a donation. So, but there you go. Emily Chen, and she went into, Lindsay Smith for San Marcos City Council's launch party for her endorsement. So stay tuned. You might see Lindsay on our endorsement list. You might not. We'll see. Maybe we should have her on. Should we invite Lindsay to come on the show?
Yeah, we should. That'd be fun.
Okay, cool. She's got to have an accent, though, right? We need to.
Let's
Maybe we
make
should
sure.
start assigning accents, you know?
Tell her she has to speak like an Australian the whole time.
You're Scottish. Go. Okay, cool.
Well, guys, I've been very busy messing up an AR-15 from Bravo Company Manufacturing, but we want to talk about cleaning this weapon up so we can continue shooting it. And to that end, Dwight, thank you for joining me today.
SIL 1 products are bio-based, non-toxic, okay? And it is a one product that clean, lubricates, and protects. So we call it a CLP Plus because it actually works. Coming up with this product, you know, there had to be something out there that wouldn't kill you while you were cleaning your firearms, right? And that's what this formula ended up, you know, being after, you know, some trial and error of quite a few years and some different products. Now it comes in a paste, a liquid, an aerosol, and they all do the same thing. Where our product is different, it's a nanotechnology, okay? But what our product does, it actually penetrates into whatever it is you're cleaning. All right, so our product is safe on all metals, plastics, composites, rubber, wood, leather. We have no vegetable oil or vegetable esters in our product, so it does not get gummy and sticky over time. We're gonna show you on this filthy gun you got.
I did a number on it just for you.
Yes, yeah, you did.
We all know and love the M16, in this case an AR-15, very closely related. Yeah, so you're going to be able to get all this the carbon off here, huh?
What, just over 10,000 rounds?
Yeah, just a couple rounds. Now keep in mind, guys, we haven't thoroughly cleaned this weapon since our 10,000 round test. At the end of our 10,000 round test, we put a little bit of Lucas oil on it just to show that with a couple drops of oil, the weapon would resume functioning at full speed. And it did. Now this thing's filthy. It has not been taken apart. So this thing was brand new when I started the test. That's why this is being difficult.
Oh yeah,
I mean, you carbon in there.
You can feel it in there, and it just does not want to rotate. I mean, what I like to do is, I'm a paste guy. This is the one I use the most. Okay. You put it on to clean it, and you wipe it off to lubricate it.
Okay.
And normally with mine, once I've been using it, all I use is a nylon brush. But since we have got a lot of carbon that's built up on here, I'm gonna probably end up using this a little bit. But right now I just wanna really kind of get this coated on the whole thing. And a lot of times I just like to use my hands. Oh boy, you can feel on the inside there.
This feels like sandpaper. There's so much carbon on this thing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it is.
Breaking it down. I mean, you can see it.
Yeah, I mean,
breaking it down. Grief, that's messy. When that carbon starts to come loose,
yeah,
it really shows.
You know, in the military, we were taught, hey, when you're done shooting, you clean it, right? One thing about with this product, it has made me a little lazier, you know, because I know I don't have to clean it each time.
Oh my goodness, I can actually see lands and grooves.
Yeah.
So we just finished cleaning up the rifle, and the external parts of the rifle really looked kind of rough. Again, this rifle has just absolutely been abused, all weather conditions, has not seen a drop of oil or any type of maintenance inside or out, and so it's starting to look a little crusty. Look how nice she looks now.
All right, everybody's favorite segment, Stump My Nephew. My nephew, Sam the Gunman, extremely good with gun trivia, and I think we have a really good question today that I think is going to stump him or really truly show. It's going to test his mettle. We're going to test his mettle today. So he doesn't get these questions until the first time he hears them is the first time you hear them. He doesn't get them in advance. He doesn't get to research them. He doesn't have any resources. This is all from the top of his noggin. So without further ado, Sam, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you guys?
Good, good, good. I think this is going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to it. I'm all excited. I'm giddy. I don't know what to do with that. All right, Alicia, go ahead. Why don't you, you ready, Sam? You ready for Alicia to ask?
I hope so.
Okay.
All right, Sam, your question comes from Matt from El Cajon, and he asks, what did Dr. Jean Alexandre LeMat invent, and what made his invention unique? And if
What was
Mike
that, Matt
mispronounced
from
that
El
name,
Cajon?
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll let me know. Yes, correct, Matt from El Cajon.
And could you do me a favor and spell the last name, please?
L-E, uppercase M-A-T.
All right. Now, I took the wrong language in high school and college, so my French pronunciation is probably awful, but I've heard it pronounced LeMat. The LeMat revolver is a mid-19th century revolver that is notable for being sort of I guess you could say a combination gun. Now, that usually refers to long guns. It was a revolver that you could get in a couple different calibers, I think probably 36 and 44 or 41 or something. I don't know, whatever was common at the time. And it had a shotgun barrel in the middle of the cylinder. So you had like I don't know why he thought that was a good idea. I mean, it's cool, but I don't see the practical benefit in that. But it has remained kind of a somewhat known historical curiosity to this day, just because it's so wacky. The originals were muzzle loaders. They did some cartridge conversions at some point. Some company announced earlier this year that they want to make reproduction LeMat revolvers, which I think would be pretty neat. In terms of military use, the Confederates used a small number in the American Civil War, but other than that, it was not super widely produced, if I recall correctly. But it's a cool gun. I've seen serial number 1 of it. I was doing other work in the museum vault at the time, but
Which museum?
I was in a secret offsite vault at an undisclosed location for the National Museum of the Marine Corps.
And they had number 1 of this, huh?
Yep, they have number 1. I was sitting. I had finished the work that I was in there to do, and so I was just shooting the breeze with the museum specialist who was helping me with that, who's a big-time black powder expert and competitive musket shooter. And he said, "Hey, do you want to see LeMat revolver number 1?" I went, "Yes, please." Yeah. So I've got some pictures of it on my phone, but it's a cool gun. I just think they're neat.
I'd never heard of it before this question.
I clearly hadn't either. I didn't know how to pronounce the name, so I hadn't.
I think now I haven't seen this, but supposedly Ed Harris's character in Westworld uses a LeMat revolver.
That's interesting. One of they provided production and use. They provided a little bit more information. The person that sent it in, made mostly in Europe, which they specifically France, Belgium, and Liège. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce that. And imported to the Confederacy. Numbers were limited, and many were bought privately by officers. It saw use with the Confederate cavalry. Jeb Stuart and others are commonly associated with it. Surviving originals are collector rarities. And by the way, you nailed the caliber even.
Yeah, he did.
So go ahead, talk about you want to read the.
Sure. Yep.
Okay.
Typical originals were either 36 or 42. Some sources also list 44, which Sam had also mentioned.
He named all 3.
He did. 9-shot cap and ball cylinder with a central smoothbore shotgun barrel, commonly described as a 60 to 63 cal, roughly 16 to 20 gauge for buckshot or grape shot. The hammer striker could be indexed to fire either barrel.
Wow, grape shot.
That's
that
it.
Sounds delicious. Doesn't that sound tasty?
It does.
Okay, so I think this is, by the way, you've been doing this for like 8 years? In 8 years of me asking you, how did you know this? This is the first time you've actually given me an answer. You were in the museum and actually saw the number 1 version of it. That's awesome. Usually you're like, I don't know, I just kind of read stuff and watch videos or whatever. But awesome job, Dr. Jean-Alexandre LeMat. He was the inventor, and very cool.
Well, to let you in on a little bit of inside baseball,
yes.
I've said before several times that I'm not too well versed on black powder firearms, but the easy rule of thumb for figuring out what caliber a revolver is the most common calibers, at least in the United States at the time, for revolvers were 36 and 44. And almost all U.S. Army revolvers were 44 caliber, and almost all U.S. Navy revolvers were 36 caliber. So there you go. That makes it easy. There are some exceptions to that, but if someone asks, "Oh, hey, I have this revolver from the Civil War era. What caliber is it?" You're going to go, "Oh, it's 36 or 44."
Or maybe ask, like, well, did the Navy use it or the Army use it?
Yeah, there you go.
Good tip. Your tip of the day. Awesome. Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Good job,
Pretty
Sam.
impressive.
Yep. There you go.
Let me tell you the story of a 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee named Erna. She fled the bombings in Ukraine, seeking peace and safety here in the United States. And instead, on October 22nd, 2025, she was fatally stabbed on a Charlotte light train rail during what should have been a routine commute. This was no targeted attack. It was sudden, it was horrifying, and it was violent. It's a painful reminder. Danger can strike at any time, anywhere, even in places we expect it to be safe. Erna came here with hope. She worked at a pizzeria, she studied English, and she dreamed of becoming a veterinary assistant. Her life was full of potential, and yet it was cut short by someone with a long history of mental illness and multiple arrests, someone who slipped through the cracks of the justice system. Her story is not a tragedy, it's a warning, a call, a truth we cannot ignore. Preparedness and awareness are critical for our safety, no matter who we are or where we come from. You may never be the victim, but danger does not discriminate, and safety is not about living in fear, it's about being proactive, being prepared, and having the tools and confidence to protect yourself. That's why Not Me SD exists, because we believe that every woman deserves the power to protect herself. Yes, our heart is in firearms training, but true self-defense is about choices. It's about finding what works for you. Whether that's Krav Maga, pepper spray, situational awareness, or another tool that gives you the strength and peace of mind. We are here to walk with you through the journey. If you're ready to take that first step, or if you want to bring a group of women together for training, we're here for you. Our mission is simple, but powerful: to empower women with the skills, tools, and courage they need so they will never be the next victim. Together, we are rewriting the story from fear to strength. This is more about training. It's about building confidence. It's about creating a community of women who refuse to be silent, refuse to be helpless, and refuse to be the next victim.
Okay, so I'm talking to my nephew, and we were talking about presidents and just how, like, who were the best when it comes to the Second Amendment. And really, there wasn't a lot going on when it comes to Second Amendment until, recently, till modern history. So the question came up, who were the most pro-Second Amendment presidents in the last 50 years? And so Sam said, hey, you know what? I think I can do this. I absolutely have the information and the research on this. So I said, great, let's put the list together. So without further ado, Sam, you have you came up with a list of the most pro Second Amendment presidents in the last 50 years, right?
Yeah, we talked about this at GRPC.
Yeah.
It was originally supposed to be a top 5, but I realized that there haven't been 5 pro Second Amendment presidents in the past 50 years. So, yeah, and admittedly, this is kind of a bit. I know some of you are going to get mad, and then you're going to go on Facebook and you're going to type angry comments. So let me explain what we're doing here. I'm talking
Which is
about,
why we do this. This is exactly what we're hoping
we're
for.
rage baiting you, and if you fall for it, then that's your fault. What I'm talking about here is most pro Second Amendment in terms of policy things that happened during that president's administration. I'm not talking about things that president said on the campaign trail, though I might mention those things. Those aren't part of the criteria for being pro or anti 2A.
So the criteria is, what did they actually do? What actually happened during their administration that made our lives better or worse?
Exactly.
as gun owners?
So the first one, and I'm not a fan of a lot of his policies.
And we're
I
starting.
think
Wait. So we're starting at this is the of the four. This is the
Yes.
least pro Second Amendment. We're going to work up to the most pro Second Amendment.
So still
Oh,
Second
okay.
Amendment, but at the bottom.
Yeah,
Of the list,
okay.
the bottom of
So
our list.
This is the
Yeah.
least of the best.
Least-
So
yeah,
number
least-
four. Should we
least
do a little?
impressive, but still like remotely pro Second Amendment? I'm going
Go
to say
for it.
Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan, number four. Ronald Reagan.
Yeah. So his big pro 2A policy that for which a lot of people remember him nowadays is the Firearm Owners Protection Act in 1986.
Yeah.
And what that did is it cracked down on harassment of FFLs by the ATF. So there were accusations of ATF that their field offices would sort of focus in on some FFLs they didn't like for whatever reason. Maybe they thought they were dirty but had no real evidence, couldn't pin anything on them, or maybe they just didn't like the guy. So they would do these, like they would conduct an audit and force the FFL to close down to go through the paperwork for a few days. Then they would go, okay, that's great, we found nothing. And then they would come right back a few weeks later and do the same thing. And so the Firearm Owners Protection Act, FOPA, which Reagan signed into law in '86, cracked down on that. And it made it easier to legally transport firearms across state lines and some other opening up of existing anti-2A policies that just were nonsensical. And so this law removed them.
Okay,
But
so just
something else.
Just to recap before we go further. So NFA passed in 1968.
NFA passed in 34, GCA passed in 68.
I'm sorry, 34, right. And then, okay, got it. So from there, it gave a lot of authority for federal law enforcement to regulate firearms dealers. And as we still know today, they were acting fairly predatorily. So under the Reagan administration, a law passed that chipped away at that and basically protected gun owners and dealers, right? So that's one of the things Reagan gets credit for that happened under his administration.
Yeah, that was good. Full credit to him, and so that earns him a spot on the list.
There you go.
But
look at him standing
there
in
was
front
a
of an
poison
American
pill.
flag with a red tie on and everything, and
Yeah,
he's
he looks
only number
great.
4. Holy cow!
Yeah, movie star.
All right.
Yeah, so the reason why he gets bumped down to number 4 is that people in Congress, or I should say legislators in Congress, snuck a poison pill into the bill, and they said, okay, like we don't want President Reagan to make life easier for gun owners, so we're going to sneak this provision in there, and then there's no way he'll sign the thing. And that was called the Hughes Amendment. And what that did was it closed the machine gun registry, which had been established because machine guns are NFA items.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea here was, well, we're not technically outlawing them. We're just making it so that no new ones can be registered as transferable. So we're kind of effectively outlawing them, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. And Reagan signed it. And so that's why post-86 machine guns are not transferable. And the big issue that people go, okay, so machine guns, so what? I don't want a machine gun. The real issue there is that it sets a legislative precedent for effectively banning a firearm in a way that doesn't say in the law, this type of gun is now banned. It's, oh, well, we're going to make you register them and we're going to make you pay an exorbitant tax stamp, and then we're going to make it so you can't register them anymore. So there's a limited supply that dwindles and jacks up the value because of supply and demand.
There you
So
go.
that's why he gets bumped down.
That's why he gets bumped
Not
down.
to mention,
Go ahead.
these are, again, I said that the criteria don't include what that president has said outside of policy about Second Amendment and gun ownership rights. But let me remind all you guys in California that he set the foundation for California's descent into authoritarianism in that respect. The Mulford Act, he signed that when he was the governor. He was famous for saying, and I think still should be famous for saying, something along the lines of, and let me actually pull the quote up here, there is absolutely no reason why out on the street today a civilian should be carrying a loaded weapon. So he was avowedly anti-concealed carry.
every
But
Republican's
again,
hero? I can't believe he said that. Did he say that?
that's not why he's in his position on the list. I think the Hughes Amendment is enough of an issue, but you have that in addition.
Yeah, we want to remind that. And then he actually came out in favor. This is after he was out of office. Wrote a letter about trying to ban assault weapons, to quote unquote assault weapons. His son later tried to walk that back, but he said what he said. So there's Reagan.
There you go.
So Reagan, number 4. All right, well, come out swinging, man. That's a controversial, bottom of the list already. So let's move on to number 3. Who's number 3? This is the third, right?
Best.
Third
Yeah.
best.
Third best.
Third most pro-Second Amendment president in the last 50 years. Go ahead.
Yeah, third most pro-Second Amendment U.S. president in the last 50 years, and the first one on this list to be in the White House during my lifetime, George Bush Jr., George W. Bush.
George W. Now he's he's number 4. Go ahead. What's the reason?
Yes, the thing that makes him so pro 2A is that he did nothing. He allowed yes. Let's give him a round of applause. Thanks,
There he
George.
is.
He did nothing.
W himself.
Yeah, his W, when he was on the campaign trail, he tried to strike kind of a fine line and appear moderate on gun control issues, and he kind of went back and forth on the so-called assault weapons ban, which had been in effect since 1994. It was set to sunset in 2004 during Bush's first term, and he allowed it to sunset. So literally, the most pro 2A thing he did during his 8 years in the White House was nothing.
I remember when he got elected in 2000, I remember, I forget who said it, but people were like, oh, we got a former Texas governor, endorsed by the NRA. I remember the joke was that the NRA was going to set up their desk in the White House, and he was there for 8 years. Now, I know he had a lot on his plate those 8 years.
Yeah, it was a busy 8 years for America.
It was a busy 8 years, but nothing happened positive. The like you said, the best that can be said about his Second Amendment policy is that he didn't renew a gun ban. He just let it sunset. That's the best he did.
Yeah, absolutely. While he was on the campaign trail, one of the things that he had on his website in 2000 during his first election cycle was that he supposedly supported the assault weapons ban and supported a ban on the importation of so-called high-capacity magazines, but opposed some other gun-controlled policy positions. But in terms of what he actually did in office, that was it. That was really it, as far as I can tell.
All right.
Interesting.
Well, yeah, very interesting. All right. Well, we got 2 left. So this is the runner-up. This is the second most pro-Second Amendment president in the last 50 years. So who do we got?
Yeah. So just to recap, presidents we had in the past 50 years, that's going to include, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush Sr., Clinton, Bush Jr., Obama, Trump, Biden, and then Trump again. Most pro-Second Amendment president in the past 50 years in terms of policies accomplished well in the White House, Barack Hussein Obama, 44th president of the United States.
Second most. Second, Barack Hussein Obama. Now, how can you possibly say that?
Wait. Hold on. Did you say second most?
Second.
Second most.
Second most. He messed up. He said first most. It's second most. We haven't gotten to the first most yet. This is
my bad.
The second most.
Oh,
yeah.
got it.
Second most.
Good catch. Good
Wow.
catch. So how can you say that? How dare you? I'm shaking my fist here. So you better prove yourself, young man, or I'm coming after you. How can you possibly say that Obama was the second best Second Amendment president in the last 50 years?
Yeah, America's greatest gun salesman himself. People are still mad about him.
How dare you?
The reason I say he was the second most pro-Second Amendment president in the last 50 years is because, again, rhetoric aside, because Lord knows I was around for his presidency. All of us were around and politically aware for at least some of his presidency. Yeah. He kept trying to go after gun ownership, but the only actual policies he put in place, or his administration put in place, were pro 2A. He allowed concealed carry in national parks for the first time in 20 years. He opened up the permission to carry concealed on Amtrak trains also. The only actual hard policies, again, as far as I can tell, that his administration put into place, opened up the number of places in which we could carry concealed on various federal or federally controlled places.
Did you guys know that? Did you know that, Dakota?
I did not.
Did you know that,
Yeah,
Alicia? Alicia knew.
I'm sorry,
if you
Sam
go
was
to
getting ready
a-
to speak. I didn't want to interrupt.
Oh.
Go for it, Sam.
If you go to a national park, national forest,
Yes.
and you carry your 10 millimeter Glock or your Smith & Wesson Model 29 or whatever for bear defense, you can thank good old Barack Obama for letting you do that.
The national parks acquiesce to whatever the state says. So
Exactly.
Federal law across all national parks is not consistent. It's whatever the state
And
aims to be.
and that law was signed by Barack
Yeah,
Obama.
that one I did not.
It was not it was not a standalone law. It was buried in
Right.
another
Right.
law, but
Of
they
course.
still snuck it through, and he still signed it. And
Yeah.
it's not like they fooled him. He actually talked about it in public. But like you said, all the rhetoric, all the anti-gun rhetoric, but the actual results of his administration was that he expanded where people could carry concealed.
Well, he earned an F from Brady in 2010. And let me read you a couple of quotes by him while he was in office. Like the majority, I'm not going to try and do the impression. Like the majority of Americans, I believe that the Second Amendment guarantees an individual right to bear arms. And in fact, my administration has not curtailed the rights of gun owners, it has expanded them. Individual right to bear arms. There are people today in positions of authority, be they judges or be they legislators, who say that the Second Amendment does not guarantee an individual right to bear arms.
Yeah.
But there you go. Put
So
that
would
in
you-
your pipe and
So
smoke
would
it.
you say that's the only thing you agree with Barack Obama on? Is that
I would say one of the very few things. Yes, I am certainly not a fan of his. And again, yes, the point of this whole mental exercise is to induce people to reevaluate their thinking on public figures and not just make up your minds based on whether that person has an R or a D next to their name.
Okay.
And it's also, I want you guys out there who are politically active, who are voting, who are contacting your legislators, hold your elected officials' noses to the grindstone, or wrong analogy, hold their feet to the fire.
Feet to the fire.
Yeah.
There you go.
And say, hey, what have you done to protect my rights?
Yeah.
What have you done to protect my rights?
Good.
There you
Okay,
go.
let's get to number one. I'm
Let's get to
on the
number one.
edge of my seat. Barack Hussein
Yes.
Obama is number two. Let's
Yes.
get to number one. The number
Yes.
one most pro-Second Amendment president in the last 50 years is...
And I don't like it. I don't like a lot of his policies, so it pains me to say it. It's Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. There he is.
Oh, that's an interesting photo.
Nice. Do we have the victory video, or there we go. Number one most pro Second Amendment president in the last 50 years. Okay, so talk about why. Why is he the most pro Second Amendment? If it's not based on rhetoric, what are we talking?
It's not based on rhetoric, so I'm not including. I like to take the guns first, due process second in this.
Right.
So something that actually Doug Hamlin of the NRA has highlighted is that a lot of pro-Second Amendment action we've gotten on a federal level lately has come due to Trump-appointed judges, particularly in the Supreme Court. We have a fairly favorable SCOTUS right now when it comes to 2A rulings. Bruin, I mean, that wasn't during Trump's administration, but it was decided the way it was largely because of judges he appointed. So that's a big deal. And again, a lot of his policies really irritate me, but this isn't the time for me to get into that. This is the time for me to get into he appointed pro 2A judges, his attorney general, and I have some gripes about the AG, but the Justice Department more broadly has been a lot better and a lot easier to deal with when it comes to 2A issues. They're not perfect. They're far from perfect. There are some anti-2A things they're doing right now. But he directed AG Bondi to compile a report of all of the anti-2A things that the department was doing and submit it to him, which I don't know if she's done that yet. I don't think she has, but that matters. That's real progress. And I don't think, obviously you wouldn't expect Biden to do that, or even Obama or Bush or anyone to do that. So I am glad that we live in a time where we can be optimistic, at least on a federal level, about the state of the Second Amendment. It's not perfect. The situation isn't perfect. There's a lot of room to grow and a lot of bad things that are happening, but we're better off than we've ever been, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. Let me ask you, before we go further, before we talk about this a little bit more, had you gone back further, like, Eisenhower, Nixon, whatever, is there an honorable mention that happened before 50 years?
Well, gun control wasn't really a hot button issue the way it has been in recent decades before that. There was kind of to a large degree, there was kind of a collective understanding among the American population that people own firearms and that's okay.
Yeah.
If I wanted to give an honorable mention, it would have to be to Teddy Roosevelt, who is more operator than any of you listening to this are. He charged up San Juan Hill with his Rough Riders. He was an extremely brave man, highly decorated war veteran, and he hunted with a suppressed Winchester Model 1894. That is cool.
That's a good honorable mention.
That's when suppressors were bleeding edge technology. That's before they were even regulated. And he was like, "Yeah, this makes my guns better. I want at least 2 of them."
There you go.
There you go.
Dakota, Alicia, you guys have an honorable mention at all? Anybody you can think of? Because I got another one.
Go ahead. You go for it. I wasn't prepared for that.
I think I know, right? It's I think you have to include Grant. I think you have to include U.S. Grant because he was the first president of the NRA.
Really?
They created the NRA, and the first president of the NRA was Ulysses S. Grant.
I did not know that.
Right, Sam? Am I right about that?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah. So there you go.
I'm embarrassed to say I don't know enough about the history and the records of the presidents of years going back that far to be able to give an educated answer. So, what did I do? I went online. So just here's what's interesting.
All right. What do you got?
By no means do I agree with this one. Notable mention here. We got JFK.
Yeah. Well, so
and here's the reason, by the way.
But his is all based on rhetoric, right?
Correct. Well, here's it's just a one-liner. It just simply says Kennedy was one of 8 U.S. presidents to become a life member of the NRA. That's their reason.
Oh,
I thought that was just an interesting
for
mention.
him being pro.
Aside from that, I don't honestly have anything to contribute that would be beneficial.
What's interesting, I think, is that sometimes people who maybe are not so strong on their gun policy, or they don't know exactly what their people, what their constituents want them to do, will do things that look good to the right while passing legislation that feels good to the left. So, like, maybe they'll become a member of the NRA, but they won't actually pass any policy that is helpful, so.
There was a time in U.S. political history when simply not banning guns was good enough for gun owners. They were like, hey, I'm not going to ban your guns. Oh, great. Well, then we'll vote for you. And it's gotten so bad that is not enough. That is not enough. And Sam, I think you're absolutely right. The reason that you came up with this, basically what you said about, hey, don't worry about a D or an R, and you're absolutely right. But the other part of that is you have to ignore people's rhetoric. You have to understand. I don't think this isn't a stop the press moment. Politicians lie. They say things they don't mean. So judge people, judge politicians on their actions. What have you actually done? There are definitely a number of folks who came to us for an endorsement, after we endorsed them or helped them get elected. And basically the question was, well, wait a minute. What did you actually do? What did you do with the position that we helped you obtain? And if the answer is nothing, then, man, you got to have a pretty deep conversation. Now, I think it's incumbent on us to come up with something for them to do. Like, hey, how do we undo some of the damage that's been done? We got to make that clear to people. You were talking about how Obama got to be number 2 because he made it to where national parks mirrored the CCW policies of their host state, I think one of the things we should do is we should do the same with military bases, and we've talked about that on Gun Owners Radio. That's an action item. Let's put that in front of somebody in Congress. I mean, right now, supposedly pro-gun folks are the majority in Congress and the White House. We should be able to get that through. That should be a no-brainer. That's just one example. There are a dozen things that this Congress could do that would actually benefit gun owners. And just by simply saying, hey, we're not going to do you any harm, that's not good enough anymore. This is 2025, almost 2026. There's a lot of work to be done to undo the bad. So
there's an analogy I really like when it comes to gun policy. That is the analogy of a cake or a pie, whatever baked good you prefer. But the idea is we started out with the whole cake. And then people came in and they said, well, having the whole cake is unreasonable. You need to give away some of the cake. You need to compromise. It's all about compromise. You need to compromise with the side who doesn't want you to have cake, and you need to give away a slice of your cake. And so we cut off a quarter, and we make this that's billed as a compromise. Okay, great. We've compromised with the anti-cake coalition. And then they come back a few decades later and they said, you have 3/4 of a cake. That's ridiculous. No one needs 3/4 of a cake. And so we cut off more, and we cut off more, and on and on and on. The compromise is only between I want to keep what I already have versus you want me to have none of it or less of it. That's not compromise. That's acquiescence. Talk to your elected officials and ask them, what have you done to advance the cause of my civil liberties other than just stood in the way and done nothing, stood in the way and prevented them from taking more of my cake? No, I want the whole cake back.
Yeah, we need.
I want my cake back. Give it to me. It's mine.
And that side of the debate also thinks that they're the ones who have been doing all of the compromising.
Yeah, I know it's ridiculous. I mean, gun folks have done nothing but compromise for 100 years. And it's time. Things have gone too far. The promises they've made haven't come to fruition. I think that the complexity and depth of Second Amendment theory has improved over the last just 20 or 30 years, and it's time for us to take back what's been taken from us. And we want our cake. We want our cake.
And we want to eat it too.
That's right. By the way, what kind of horrible organization? An anti-cake organization like that is that's like that sounds absolutely horrible. What a bunch of horrible people that sounds like. But anyway. Awesome job again, everybody. Of course, we don't think that Obama was a great president for gun owners. We get it. Of course, we're not happy when Trump says things like "take the guns first." We're simply trying to make a point. So stop typing away on your keyboard. Reflect on things that have actually happened and help us make good things happen in the future. There's not a case to be made that, Obama is somebody who's friendly towards the gun community. He took every opportunity to villainize us, and there's nothing good about that. Had he tried, had some of the things he tried actually worked, then we'd be in a much worse place. So just relax. Gun Owners Radio isn't pro-Obama. We're trying to make a point. So anyway, Sam, awesome job as always. Thanks for putting together that list, and great. Good job.
Thanks for having me on. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and don't trust politicians.
I love that takeaway.
Especially the ones you like.